This is Dolynny TV, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon, and welcome back to another edition of Edmonton Oilers news. Yes, we've got news today here on the channel. Let me tell you, I'm excited to get to it. Of course, we've had for the longest while. Oh man, what do the Oilers do when it comes to the Seattle Kraken Expansion Draft? We talked about the Kraken when they were released their name. We talked about it when it was first announced way back in 2018. And here we now find ourselves talking about the Seattle Kraken in a whole new situation because Kris Russell signed a one-year extension with the Edmonton Oilers today. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're new to Dolynny TV, what I want you to do, we do a lot of Oilers news, actually pretty much only Oilers news here on the channel. So make sure to hit that subscribe button, leave a like, and let's get discussing all about this $1.25 million cap hit one-year deal for Kris Russell that finds us in some good situations come the end of this season, right? End of this upcoming season is when the Seattle Kraken will officially enter the NHL, going through the expansion draft process, going through the first NHL entry draft process, and then, of course, icing a team to start 21-22. So this is our last season, absolute last season before we get in to the Seattle Kraken situation. And yes, so we were kind of sitting not so good. Prior to today, not so good when it comes to the Seattle Kraken expansion draft because it looked like, yeah, you know what, Ethan Bear, depending on what happens with his contract, Caleb Jones, one of those guys was probably going to have to be exposed in the expansion draft just based on the other guys in our lineup. So that didn't have a lot of Oilers fans sitting too comfortable, right? Obviously, you'd protect Clefbaum, you'd protect Nurse, you'd protect Larson if they're all still Oilers by this point. And at this point, if they're still Oilers now, they're probably going to be Oilers by the end of next season. That would just be common sense based on how the cap situation across the NHL is working. So that leaves guys like Caleb Jones and Ethan Bear open. But by locking up Kris Russell with no trade protection, no anything special other than a one-year extra deal at $1.25 million tacked on to the next season after this one. That's the key. He is still getting that $4 million cap hit deal this year. That's what Kris Russell counts against the Oilers in 2021, the season to be played next. But it's the season after that which the Seattle Kraken will enter into the NHL in the next offseason to play in that season. That is why Kris Russell is available. So I'll read you the press release from the Edmonton Oilers. The Oilers have signed defenseman Kris Russell to a one-year contract extension through the 2021-2022 season worth an average annual value, your cap hit, of $1.25 million. Russell, 33, appeared in 55 games with the Oilers last season, posting 9 assists, 14 penalty minutes, and an even plus-minus rating. He also played in 4 games in the Stanley Cup playoffs. So there you go. Ladies and gentlemen, the Oilers officially are counting the play-ins as playoffs. Here I've been doing it unofficially as a crazy guy, but how about that? The Oilers officially counting what took place against the Blackhawks as playoffs. So take it or leave it, it's playoffs according to the team you cheer for. Just saying. All right. The 5'10", 170-pound blue liner, Kris Russell's a tiny guy, man. Like the guy, he gets the name Cowboy for a reason, but he's a tiny guy. Has appeared in 846 career NHL games over 13 seasons with Columbus, St. Louis, Calgary, Dallas, and Edmonton, registering 236 points, 46 goals, 190 assists, 259 penalty minutes, a -5 rating, and Russell has also recorded 20 points, 24 penalty minutes, and a -4 rating in 53 career playoff games. So that career production in the playoffs goes quite a bit up. He originally joined the Oilers, way back in 16-17. Yeah, way back when. As an unrestricted free agent, I believe that was a cheap deal, and then he signed the 4-year deal that will take him through this next season. That was a Peter Chiarelli classic. Yes. So, I guess in all this, we're missing what Tyson thinks of Kris Russell. And I'm not a huge Kris Russell fan by any means, right? But again, what that comes down to is the cap hit. I am always against the cap hit. The cap hit, the cap hit, the cap hit sucks. Well, for Kris Russell, you know what? This is the tough part. Is well, it is what it is, right? We'll suck it up, get through it, Buttercup, this season, and we'll be fine. Because, yeah, you know what? All of a sudden, that $4 million cap hit gets softened a lot more by having him on the books the next season, so as we don't have to protect him in the expansion draft, leave a guy open in the expansion draft who is NHL serviceable for a team like the Seattle Kraken. This is the ultimate gamesmanship in an expansion draft year by Ken Holland. This is to a T exactly in whatever needed to be done to get ready for the expansion draft. This is what needed to be done. Kris Russell has career certainty. Either he plays with the Oilers the season following next, or he plays with the Seattle Kraken. There is no in between there. That is where Kris Russell will probably find himself playing, right? Easy is as easy does. So for him, no doubter. Sign a contract. Either you get an exciting new adventure even though you signed with the Oilers, or you stay with the Oilers and you're the seventh defenseman doing the servicing when needed to fill holes in the NHL lineup. And that's good, right? Because realistically, here's the problem. For a seventh defenseman pre-COVID in 21-22, $1.25 million was probably going to be a really good deal. Okay, that's the hard part here, is because, yeah, now you're saying, well, 21-22, you're probably talking $850,000, $900K for your seventh defenseman. That's the reality now. So, yes, right, is looking at it logically beforehand, that would have made perfect sense. But that's where you have to add in the Seattle Kraken expansion draft stuff to the factor of the contract, and there you go. That's how 1.25 is a lot more stomachable, knowing that $1.25 million chance or contract is probably a 50-50 at minimum chance it's not going to be on your books if you're Ken Holland in 21-22. That's the fun part, right? That's how it's stomachable. And when you talk about it, you know what? For us, paying a seventh defenseman $1.25 million, that's a lot. That's a lot, right? That's a lot, especially in this new reality we find ourselves in. But for the Seattle Kraken, who need a third pair left-hand shot defenseman that can play the left and right sides pretty much equal, he really doesn't have a strength over strength on either side. He's serviceable on both sides. That is Kris Russell. He gets the job done at 1.25. If everybody was drooling over Matt Benning at 1.9 million in our lineup, well then how can you not, if you're a Kraken fan, today looking at this signing, be drooling over the fact that if your GM is competent enough in the expansion draft, Kris Russell will be your left-hand or right-hand shot third pairing, or right-hand or left-hand side D-man in the upcoming season after you go through the expansion draft process. How can you not, right? That's where I'm looking at this. This is probably and perhaps a bigger signing for the Seattle Kraken than it is for the Edmonton Oilers. So I will go that far. You know what? I will go that far to say this is a big signing for the Seattle Kraken. 100%. Because at this point, based on our best evidence as Oilers fans, I don't think there's convincing anyone else that anyone else will go to the Seattle Kraken in the expansion draft process outside of Kris Russell, right? Maybe Kyle Turris, because that's the interesting part when it comes to Kyle Turris is also exposable in the expansion draft process as far as I understand. So, yeah. There's a little bit to it, but you know what? Now you got two options. Two options that solve two problems, and right there, my friends, Seattle's got options. We've got our guys protected, and things are taken care of in what is realistically a masterclass move in an expansion year by GM Ken Holland. And I mean, again, everybody that hates on the Oilers' moves this past year, this offseason, they just keep saying, no, not good enough, not good enough, not good enough. And then you get moves like Lucic for Neal. You get moves like a Kyle Turris for $1.65 million. Tyson Barrie on a one-year deal for $3.75. One of our cheapest defenders in our top four. Actually, our cheapest defender in our top four. Then you get this move here, Kris Russell adding certainty to the Oilers lineup if needed, if not selected in the expansion draft by Seattle, therefore protecting Caleb Jones and Ethan Bear in that process. Guys, I'm sorry. Day by day, it's getting harder to ignore what a good job GM Ken Holland is doing with our Oilers lineup. So let me know what you think in the comments section below. I may or may not respond depending on how busy I get tonight. I've been trying to respond to more comments lately. It's always good I take a couple of weeks break, just reset the noggin and be good to go. But guys, I'm Tyson. This is Dolynny TV. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure to hit that subscribe button if you're new. Right now, click one of the 4 videos that pops up on your screen. I am up on out of here.